Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Buster Show, brought to you by Playland. We have a world-class, top of the top level comedian. My favorite.
Yeah.
You put those words in my mouth, but I'm cool with it because it's Kyle Pennant here on the show.
Thanks for having me, Buster.
This is going to be fun. So we're actually recording this the day of Halloween, October 31st. Are you going to be partaking in any of these Halloween festivities?
Not at all. I don't participate in these devil holidays. I was raised too Christian to ever celebrate Halloween. Like, it was just beaten into me. I've never had a Halloween costume until I was like maybe 24.
What did you dress as at age 24?
Props. Like, one of my guys was into shooting movies and stuff, and we just took like props from his war movie and went out as a group.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Genius. So you were telling me before you spent this morning photoshopping a costume onto yourself?
Well, no, I wore it.
Oh.
Dragon Ball Z Future Trunks. When Trunks comes back from the future, kills Frieza when everybody's freaking out. I got that costume to film in, and then I took a picture. And I suck at Photoshop, which is crazy because people used to pay me to do Photoshop for them, and I still suck at it. But I might post it today.
That's hilarious. So I think a good way to kind of give context on how we know each other, we used to host a show together for a sports media company that I like. It's called Overtime. They're based out of Brooklyn. I must have been 17 at the time. I was commuting from Connecticut to New York, but we had a show together.
Yeah.
It was called Take That L.
Yeah.
It was a Facebook live show.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. The only Facebook live show that has ever happened in the history of the world. But the concept of this show was that we were just debating topics, and there was like this theoretical war going on through the comment section.
It was like an ignorant version of First Take. Right, it was a black guy and a white guy, and you would say like sensible things, and then my job was to say the furthest from reality, wildest thing that came to my mind.
I would literally give my honest thoughts as like somebody that actually tries to be an analyst. Like somebody asked me who's the greatest of all time, I would drop statistics. I would drop, thoughts from people I've spoken to in the media landscape and players' standpoints. And then you would come in and say something that would get emails from the entire company, red flags, people going to see HR.
But also facts. I stand by that statement, even though I have like a practical solution. My practical solution would be lower the rim, shorten the court.
I agree. I've never heard shorten the court before, though. That's interesting.
Because you want that up and down.
Right.
And since you can't run a 4-4, why don't you make it – because you already give them a smaller ball.
Right. And a closer three-point line.
Yeah, so I don't understand why it's insane to be like, well, maybe we should lower the rim. Maybe we should just make the court maybe 3 feet shorter.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I think everything should be proportional. In all sports, too. Like, there's some sport, like...
I mean, soccer's fine. Tennis is fine. Like, those sports, I love the women's version of it.
Like, I mean...
I prefer it, actually.
Obviously, gymnastics, too. Women are far superior to men.
I don't even know if that's true because I just don't watch male gymnastics.
And that's why.
Every now and then, Black Twitter updates me on Simone Biles. And then from there, I don't know what's going on in the world of gymnastics.
Explain to me your activity on Black Twitter.
As of right now, I just get like...
For those listening at home that don't know what that is.
Oh, Black Twitter? Black Twitter is the best part of Twitter. It's like, for example, if we both see a picture of a dog, like mainstream Twitter is going to be like, oh, hard eyes, hard eyes, hard eyes, hard eyes. And then Black Twitter is going to be like, the dog's eyes are wide, it's a golden retriever. And then it's going to be like, when your daughter brings a black lab home. Like, that's the difference between... everything else in Black Twitter. Black Twitter is just a little bit more edgy, and in my opinion, it's the best form of entertainment that's free.
I remember there were a couple of times on the show that we did Take That Out where the loser, which was decided by likes and hearts.
Yeah,
which is
nobodies who were watching.
Hilarious. And then at the end, there were a couple of times where I had to eat like sriracha Oreos. If I remember correctly, like wasabi on top of like crackers and stuff.
Yeah,
what a terrible idea.
Well, also, it was your idea, Buster.
That's the worst part. What a terrible idea by me. Because they just gave me full reins to kind of come up with the creative behind it. And at age 16, that's what you got.
Well, I mean, they were like,
sriracha Oreos.
He's boosted our engagement. I think he knows what he's doing. And there you have it.
Which is so funny. And then fast forward, and yeah, we're just eating like wasabi Oreos, just throwing up off stage.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was a mess. I don't know how it lasted for a really long time.
You know what's crazy? Like right before they stopped making it, we literally had a conversation. It was like, why is this show still on? Why do they keep paying us to make this? And then it was probably like a week after they were like, this doesn't even make sense. We gotta. You understand, right? All right, here's a box of cookies. You guys go home forever.
That's literally what happened.
They gave us a box of cookies and said, we're never doing this again.
They didn't give us a box of cookies. They left out a box of cookies if we wanted one.
And then I remember that last show, because they had brought in a new guy to oversee content. And
who hated me.
Yeah. And he would always afterwards be like, Kyle, yeah. And so I started like...
The funny thing is he would always tell me I did a great job.
and then me, I was like, you need to learn to self-censor. So then towards the end of it, when I realized like, oh, this is our last show, they didn't even give us a warning. It was like we walked in. He called me on my way to the elevator and he was like, just so you know, this is over. Never again. And so then I was like...
Wait, I don't even remember. Did they tell us before or after the show? Before.
They definitely told us before.
I would have rather them told us after.
It would have been a better show for them. Because
right.
I remember I went wild as hell. Like, once I realized this was our last show, I said all the shit they never wanted us to say. Like, I was just like, what are you going to do, cancel my show?
But then you got another gig with them.
That's true.
Doing the Snapchat. So it couldn't have been that bad.
Well, then they were like, you know what? You're pretty witty.
What did the Snapchat people have to say about
honestly,
your or lack of censorship?
My Twitter's private now. That was like part of the agreement. My Twitter's private.
Really?
Yeah.
That was part of it.
But I can see it. Like, the crazy thing is...
Well, you can see it because you run the account. What do you mean you can see it?
I mean, like, I can understand it.
Oh.
And the reason I can understand it is because my Twitter came out, like, I made a Twitter when I was like 17, 18.
And you don't feel like going back and deleting stuff?
I don't.
You're
I don't want to delete it, and some of it's
$1 million is on the table for you to go back and delete your tweets. And you're like,
why?
Nah.
Yeah. Like, the only people connected to it are my friends. I only have like 150 followers, something like that. Like, these are people I personally know. I don't care.
They're not leaking your tweets.
Exactly. And so then it's like at the age of 17, 18, I didn't know that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but I had the heart of one, the passion of one. And
what does that mean?
So it's just like feeling free to say whatever it is that I want to say, whether it's right or wrong. And this is what you get when you see like the greatest comedian of all time and you watch a special. You don't see all the mistakes and missteps he has to take in front of crowds before he gets to special level.
Right.
And so that's where I was, where it's just like I was doing all those mistakes and mishaps
publicly on social media.
Basically. So I see them there and it's like I understand the intent of it, but it's just not distilled the right way. So I'm confident like making it. Help me out, bro. I'm good.
Yeah. I hear that. You mentioned greatest comedian of all time. Who do you think that is?
Oh, Dave Chappelle.
Why is that?
Hands down. First, I think we're all the children of the guy who came before us, right? So like Chappelle, he's probably a child of like Chris Rock. Chris Rock's a child of Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's a child of Richard Pryor. So like, you know what I mean? In succession, Richard Pryor's a child of Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? And then somewhere along the line, you have your uncles like a Red Fox, the guys who were popping but weren't the guy.
Where does Jerry fit on that list?
Jerry Seinfeld, he's in the era of, he's probably like a father of Chris Rock, but I wouldn't say he influenced Chris Rock's comedy to the level of the person who's your father. Like I have a lot of influences, but nobody could ever say they influenced me more than Dave Chappelle because he's the reason I do stand-up. I saw him live one day and decided like, oh, I have to do this. Like while he's performing, I got like chills and I was like, I got to try this. And now I don't have a job.
Thanks, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, just write and tell jokes, man.
Yeah, that's amazing. Does Kevin Hart then follow Chappelle on that?
Yeah, but see, some people might say like he's the father of this generation, right? But I would never.
Kevin?
Like the social media generation, I would say it's probably Kevin Hart. There's nobody bigger or more famous than him.
He's the most famous comedian ever, right?
I don't know. Because that's like, I hate when people say ever, like greatest of all time. Like we can do that in like a basketball
Fame
conversation.
is different than like great though.
Yeah, but I just mean like whenever you say like all time anything, it's weird because we don't know.
Right.
We know like what's been.
It's just because of how subjective it is.
Because like, is Kevin Hart more popular than Charlie Chaplin? Does more percentage of the world know Kevin Hart now than they did when it was only 3 things to watch?
Right.
It's hard to say, man.
Yeah, man. There was no Instagram when Charlie Chaplin was doing his thing.
And everyone knew and still knows his name.
Yeah, I mean, I was named after a silent film actor who was Buster Keaton.
That's crazy.
So, like, I'm sure he was like if he was around today, he probably had like 50 mil on IG, you know, some crazy shit.
And 12 babies named after him. That's wild, man. That's his name thing I've ever heard.
His name wasn't actually Buster, though. Like, none of these dudes.
You got somebody's nickname?
Harry Houdini named Buster Keaton Buster.
So you're
because he fell down the
Houdini
stairs.
named you, technically.
My mom That's a stretch. That's definitely a stretch. But, like, yeah, literally every Buster on, like, TV, like Buster Posey, who plays for the Giants, like, his name is Gerald. Buster Olney, who's a ESPN broadcaster and analyst, his name isn't Buster. Like, that's my real name. So I will take pride in that.
You have, like, an encyclopedic knowledge of guys with this one name that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, because there aren't that many.
Yeah, it's just
if there were only 10 people named Kyle, you would know them all, too.
I know every famous person named Kyle. I Google them regularly, and I have a goal to, like, be better than all of them.
You want to destroy the Kyles.
Well, I just want to be, like, on some Highlander, like, one to rule them all. Like, I want to be that guy. Because I wanted, when you Google...
superior to the Kyles.
Think about it.
Who's the number one Kyle right now?
I don't... Honestly, it might be this rapper named Super Duper Kyle.
He's big.
Yeah.
He's big. He's not huge. He's not Drake.
He's not.
He's definitely not Drake.
Like, all my goals are attainable.
That's if you were like, yeah, my name's Aubrey. I'm like, it's gonna be a tricky one,
right? So
you said Super Duper Kyle.
It's doable.
Yeah, great artist though. I like his music.
Yeah.
So where are your goals now? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be Dave Chappelle?
I don't want to be Dave Chappelle, but I do. My immediate goal is in 5 years, I want to be able to tour on my own name. And I want to have a legitimate appearance on someone's network. I don't know which one, like streaming service, whatever.
What do you mean by appearance?
Like, I want to show up. You'd be like, oh, that's Kyle. And I'm not the guy like, here's your coffee. And I walk away. Like, I want to be like, hey, I have words that you care about. And I might even, like, if they Wikipedia this episode, they got to put, like, played by Kyle Pennant. Was it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I need that. And it's weird because I almost don't even think I want, like, I shouldn't want any of it.
What do you mean?
Like, I shouldn't want a TV appearance or any of these things.
Why not?
Because even now, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be well known. That's the reason why I'm not, like, posting constantly.
Why not?
No matter what. It's just not.
If you want to tour, though, don't
it's
those
a
two
conundrum,
things go
bro.
hand in hand?
I live in a paradox.
It's a conundrum, bro.
I'm talking like T.I. now.
Just talks in only 4-syllable words.
Yeah, I am perplexed. The situation I found myself, but it's very like antithetical to the way I perceive myself, in that I just like to be low key. I don't want all the attention. I don't want any of that, but I need that. Like, I need that so bad, because there's no other way people are gonna buy your tickets. There's no other way people are gonna follow you, and following you gets you into venues. Following you gets you into everywhere you could want to go.
Unless you did something like a show.
And that just helps you skip the line. But even then, to get the show, like, I've been in meetings with legitimate networks.
It's a lot.
They ask you, like, stupid shit you would never ask. Like,
what's the weirdest thing somebody's asked?
The weirdest thing someone's asked is, do you want to know everybody's names? Like, they brought me into a room, like, we're testing out a new show. They brought me into a room full of the writers, and they're like, hey, do you want to meet everybody? It's like 10 people in there. And I was like, nah.
How could you say no?
Because I came in there to tell jokes. I don't need to know your name, and I don't care about you.
You know what the correct answer is, though, right?
You guys are writers, but I also wrote my own jokes, so I don't even need you for this. You're just in a room where I'm trying to get money.
He said no.
It's like, nah, I'm good, bro.
It's like, you walk in here, I try to introduce you to my friend, and I'm like, Kyle, like, this is my friend Bob. You're like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
You just walk the other way.
And it was a thing with Sony too. Like they sent me a $50 check, and I was like, and this is why I didn't want to know anyone's name. Wasn't worth it.
That makes perfect sense. Although, like, why do they? It's funny because I compared that with like the way that these agents question like basketball players before they get drafted. Like they start asking them questions about like
So
their
intrusive.
third cousins and like what
Did your mom
they
smoke crack? Like all that weird stuff, man.
It's like, what?
You know, I don't like.
Is it the same thing with what you're talking about though, as far as like trying to get a show?
No, it's not that intrusive. Where they might just be like I could say at least like even when I signed this deal for Snapchat, it was like, is there anything we should know about? It was one of the questions they asked me, and I was like, what the hell could you? And it's not like, is there anything we should know about like your dislikes? What do you like when you show up on set? It's nothing like that. They're like,
They weren't asking for your writer.
They were asking me like, how many women have you raped and killed? And I'm like, none. You know what I mean? Like you guys are asking me in the nicest way possible to give you some fucked up details about my personal life, but I'm an open person. There's nothing to hide.
Right.
So it's like even the reason why you were able to see the things that you're like, all right, let's make this private. It's because I'm open like that. I was working for the government saying these crazy things. All this stuff is out there, and I'm not hiding it from a congressman. Why would I hide it from Snapchat?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, man. It's just. It's a wild road, man. Like
it's a weird world, bro.
Being in this world of like make your own schedule, you gotta hustle as hard as you want to receive benefits and blessings. Like it's unnatural because it's not what anybody's taught coming up.
Nobody's
taught to dream outside of.
That's why I hate school.
Man,
How do you feel about school?
I loved college. I mean, I loved every version of school because it was never hard. You know what I mean? Like the work was never hard, and it was just fun. Like it was a social thing for me. But in college is when I dropped out of college with 6 credits left after I watched Dave Chappelle. So I had never even tried stand up, and I was like, I'm quitting everything because there's nowhere to perform out here. I got to get out of.
Where were you going to school?
University of Missouri. I was like, I got to leave Mizzou. There's nothing here for me. Quit everything, quit my job at a good job, working for the state for like defending people, getting them out of jail and all that.
Sick.
Quit that, moved straight to my parents' house. Like I had my own townhouse and all this stuff, left that, moved to my parents' house, started going to open mics at like, I'd show up at 8 p.m., have to sit there until 1 a.m. just to go on. And so grinding that out, and within like 2 months, 3 months of that, I was like, I'm better than you guys. I need to go to New York. I need to go to LA. I need to go somewhere where if you're bumping me off of a show, I at least feel like, oh, well, this guy's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm better than you is what I thought to myself. And maybe I wasn't, but as of right now, I guarantee you none of those guys are at my level right now. I just made a bunch of irrational decisions that I felt passionate about. And the only reason I even think it was in me is because, like, it's put in me. That's part of who God made me. And I had to be honest with myself. Like, do I want to spend 50 years and follow my congressional internship into law school and from law school go into a race or maybe run somebody's campaign? Or do I want to do the thing that makes me happiest? Even though I didn't even try it before. I just knew it was going to make me the happiest I've ever been.
That's the coolest, though. Like, that's pretty rare.
It's wild. It's so... I wouldn't recommend it. I'll tell you that. I moved to one of the most expensive cities in the world. One of the most expensive cities in the world with $1,000.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. Like
it's all stupid. I didn't even sell my car. I just left it.
You just left a car there?
I just left it in front of my parents' house.
It's still there?
Nah, my brother ended up taking it to the hood. It's full of bullet holes. It's done.
Oh my God. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know, like the reason that I didn't like school is because I was bad at it and the work was hard. So there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, this is tough. This isn't like the Facebook algorithm.
No.
You gotta work
Facebook
at it.
algorithm was easy, man. That was like, man, I can solve the algorithm, but I cannot solve 2 + 7.
Can't solve for X.
Cannot solve for X. So that was why I hated school. And I hated school, too, because it was all like like you mentioned earlier, like leading everyone down the same path, which I think in general is a great idea and concept. But at the same time, like ages 14 to 18 are the best years of your life because you've no overhead.
Yeah.
So you can test out whatever you want, which school doesn't teach you. School teaches you, oh, do this, 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 and this, so that you can do it later when you have overhead, which makes zero sense at all, because the reality is 14 to 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 are the best years, because if you're in high school, you've no overhead and you can mess around with whatever you want just past school. In college, if you're there, you literally get to figure out what your interests are and allocate all of your free time to do it and use the networks of the school and use now social media to do that. Yeah. And then afterwards, you have an overhead, you have yourself to support, and then you start getting yourself into like all these other, not problems, but like let's say you have a girlfriend, like let's say you have a pet, like let's say, you know, you have a family you have to take care of or whatever. You don't get to be as selfish. Correct. Yeah. You get to be the most selfish when you're younger.
But I would say those are my college years. And
school doesn't teach you that.
My college years was when I got that, because even in high school, my parents are immigrants. Like, school is it.
Right.
You know what I mean? My mom's Jamaican, my dad's British, and drilled my entire life, like school. But it's like, I even look at them and I see like how creative they are naturally, and how like naturally funny, naturally engaging, naturally charming. Like, they could have been anything in the world, and they're great. They're doing fine. But it's like, knowing, even for example, like I would have loved to know, like, oh, you live in Atlanta, it's one of the best cities for stand-up comedy, you are a naturally funny kid at the age of 14, 15, 16, maybe we suggest to you go to open mic, and because it's Atlanta, you got to drive everywhere, maybe we drive you there. But it didn't happen. Like, I had to live life in order to come to my own path. And for some people, that's it. Like, when I was a kid, social media wasn't popping when I was 14. So that idea of like, oh, I've seen somebody become something. Right. It's not a thing. Like, I've seen so many people who should have their own sitcoms, tours, whatever, that you see the people who are popping now on social media getting. They didn't get it just because nobody was giving them those opportunities back then, and they didn't know how to finesse. Right. So it's like the early stages is any revolution, because really it's a revolution, this social media age we're in.
Yeah, for sure.
And the people who start the revolution, like, you're Crispus addicts, so it's like you're important to the cause, but you benefit the least.
100%. Yeah.
I just want to, first of all, can I just say, I've said antithetical, right?
You just want to
can I flex my
analyze the vocabulary that you've
I just pulled out Crispus addicts. Google that. I'm not even going to explain it. Just know when
his vocabulary dictionary right now is looking thick.
All I'm going to say is I'm eloquent.
Drops the mic.
Drops mic.
Does first open mic. Just dishes out vocabulary words for 10 minutes. Drops the mic and leaves. Yo, gets a standing ovation and a special.
If anyone ever invites you to an open mic, you should go.
And do it?
No.
You think I should be on the open mic?
I think less people should be doing open mics. Most of them suck, and it's hard.
I should do it and just give my thoughts on like the Knicks and Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Have it not be funny at all. Just like pure analysis on basketball.
But you wouldn't be that different from half the people there.
Really?
Half the people don't understand, because anyone can make anything funny. Right. If you're passionate about it.
It's all just like with that too, like to be a comedian is one thing, but to like be funny for 10 minutes is another.
Yeah. Well, when I say
and like
anyone,
if you have good stories too, that helps.
Oh, tremendously. It's a shortcut. I have a story that I'm working on right now about the time I met Tracy Morgan.
And you've told me that story.
Nah, I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, you did.
I told you about me meeting Tracy Morgan.
I'm not gonna debrief the story here, but
I feel like it was another famous guy I told you about.
Pretty sure it was Tracy Morgan.
I'll tell you the Tracy Morgan story. You tell me if this sounds familiar.
Go for it.
So I'm pulling up to the comedy club to do a show, and Tracy Morgan's there that night, right? He's outside the club, parking his Lambo, and immediately, like, you just see a Lambo that's going to catch your attention. So I look over, it's Tracy Morgan, Walmart money, hops up out the car, and, like, we meet at the doorway, and he's, like, you know, like when you think of Tracy Morgan, he's loud, he's boisterous, he's random, he's off the wall. No two sentences go together. But like, he was unexpected when I met him. I was like, "Hey, my name's Kyle." He's like, "Yeah, man, I haven't been here since I got SNL." He's like super somber in tone, And then he's like, yeah, I'm on the show. I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm a young comedian. And he opens the door to the club as I say that, and he turns back around. He's like, what'd you say to me? And I was like, I'm a young comedian. He's like, shut up. And he walks into a room. It's like 20 people in the room. He's like, do you hear this silly nigga? Obviously no one heard me. Like, we were outside with a shut door. Nobody had heard me. He wasn't like, you hear this silly nigga? He says he's a young comedian. And then, like, for some reason, people started laughing at me. And I'm like...
You have told me this story.
And I'm like, bro, I am a young comedian.
You're like, what did I do?
And so then, like, because he's famous, people just start flooding in. So it starts with like 20 people, and then it ends up being like 50 people in a circle around us. And Tracy Morgan's going in on me, and I'm just getting bullied in public out of nowhere.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, I don't know what to do other than take it. And he's like, he looks at me and he's like, you're a young comedian. People been telling jokes since the beginning of time. He's like, that's how Adam got the booty. Like, he said, ha ha, slipped it in. And so then he's like going in on me, goes in, does his spot, comes back out. This lady stops.
There's nothing
him.
You can do in that situation.
I'm sitting there and people are like talking to me, and I'm just like, man, leave me alone. Getting bullied by one of my heroes. And so
it's terrible.
He comes back out and he's like, this lady stops him, asking for a picture with her daughter. And then, he obliges, he's gracious. And then she's like, hey, can you do Hustle Man for Martin? And she was like, nah, what you need to do is get a young comedian over there to do one of his hit characters from one of his hit sitcoms. And I was like...
He just threw a second dagger.
Right? And I was like, yo, like, what did I even do? He's like, I grew up on everything this guy made. And so then he, like, after that, he walks back over into the circle of people who are still there. And he still starts going in on me again. He starts giving advice about stand-up, like real good advice. Like, if you're a stand-up comedian watching this, he's like, make sure you use the stage. Take advantage of as much real estate as they give you. Be as animated and engaging. Look them in the eyes. Move that mic stand to the back of the crowd. 15 minutes of just coming at my ass. And my girlfriend is standing right there. She's recording parts of this.
No, she's recording you getting roasted by your hero?
She was just like posted up by the bar watching this guy talk.
Oh, no.
And she was like, I was going to fight him, but he's famous. But so he goes, he finishes his little 15 minutes. Everyone literally applauds him, right?
Of course.
And
it's
so
Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, and so then right before...
Did you applaud him?
Hell no.
Oh.
So then like right before he's about to leave, he turns back to me. He's like, yo, you're not going to get by because of your looks. And I was like...
Thank you.
Tracy Morgan just called me cute?
That's the punchline for the idea.
And then he's like, come here. And he daps me up and he like pulls me in real close. And he's like, I hope you see what I was trying to do for you. And I'm like, nah, bro. I don't see it.
You just roasted me in front of everyone.
Upon meeting me, though. He's like, I'm just trying to make you better, man. Young black man, I want to see you do well. And he takes it.
That's nice.
Yeah, and he takes a step back, and he has like genuine tears in his eyes.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, he really means that shit. I was like, yo, Tracy, like, why are you crying? Like, I appreciate you, but it's not that serious. Like, I don't hold it against you. He's like, man, I'm not even crying. My face is horny. I'm wet. And I was like, and he just walked out. Like, that was the time I met Tracy Morgan, bro.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it ended the way that it did.
With him leaving me in tears.
Yeah. Oh, he left you? Oh, he was. Yeah. I'm trying to even think what like an equivalent of my hero roasting me would be. It's like Kristaps Porzingis walks up in the podcast like, I never liked you at all, man. I hate everything you've ever said in your life.
Hat off your head.
I'm out. I'm not even doing your show.
Like a Birdman interview. He comes in, tries to fight you, and walks away. Yep.
Derek Jeter walks in. Man, I didn't respect you one bit. Right? I just wanted to come in here and tell it to your face.
But think about it. So, like, in your career, I would say you're way further ahead in your career than I am, right? Mm-hmm. You have people who everybody's dreams about working with some of the personalities and companies that you work with, and you're doing it, right? I'm at the point where I'm still, most of what I want is still dreaming. But I've also worked with people like Tracy Morgan, Seinfeld, Leslie Jones, like stuff like that. And it's so like my career is so unique. It's the best career in the world.
Yeah, that's
where
the
else
best part
can
about
you
it.
be starting out and be like, I talked to Michael Che, we hung out, we did blah 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 blah, and be like, oh yeah. So how much money did you get paid that night? Nothing, man. I was just happy to be there.
Right.
Like it's weird, but it's dope.
But in comedy, it just takes like I'm trying to think. Even like the Louis C.K.'s of the world, like he didn't make tens of millions. He didn't make hundreds of thousands till how old was he when he popped off?
I would say Louis was definitely in his. By the time, well, when you say pop off, you mean like world famous? Like people start knowing his name, starts getting booked on TV.
I'm gonna put an ish on the end of that.
All right, I'll say like Louis became world famous in his 30s.
There you go.
And that's after he was doing comedy for at least like 10, 15 years.
And that's what it seems like it takes.
To be good on stage, I would say it takes 10 years to be amazing. Well, not even to be amazing, because somebody like Tracy who's been doing it 30 is going to tell you 10 years, you just learned yourself. Like I look at stand-up in the way that you are your age. I'm a 4-year-old. I'm still a toddler. So the fact that people love what I do and I have fans and people who like actually mess with my jokes, that's like you're in love with a toddler. Wait till I'm a grown man. Wait till my dick's big. Like this shit's about to be amazing. But as of right now, like I'm learning. But there's some for real killers out here, and they're just bubbling on the surface, just waiting for their time. And this is the place to find them in New York.
Yeah, you think New York's the best city for stand-up comedy?
I'm gonna tell you this. Look for these names: Matt Richards, Nico White, Andre D. Thompson, Eagle Witt, Alex Babbitt, Kyle Pennant, Dean David. Like these are just Abe Gatlin. These are just my friends, but people who I know. Nori Davis. Like some of them are further along in their careers than other. HBO, all these other things. Some of them not, but like they got it.
Yeah. 80% of the battle is having it, and then 20% is luck.
Yeah. The only reason I even know you is because a girl I knew was like, I know a funny guy, when she was trying to get hired to be a producer, and she never even got the job. Like
what happened?
Like we met through Overtime.
Yeah.
I got in at Overtime because a girl I knew went to a job fair. She met one of their execs at a job fair. That exec told her like, hey, come in for an interview. Interview was like, hey, you know what? We don't think you're right for the position, but do you know anybody funny?
That's how you came.
And that's how I got into this world of like everything I make now. Like I've made a bunch of things that no one's seen. Some I've been paid for, some I haven't filmed, but everything I film, I get paid for. And it started like there.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have a couple random questions for you. Do you hear Kanye's new album?
I love it.
You did?
You don't like it?
No, I loved it. I thought it was great. I liked like half of it though.
See? All right. I have a
I love like the vibe though. Big vibe fan.
The vibe is Black Church.
The vibe is great.
That's what
very,
it is.
Like friendly.
All the criticisms and people are against it is because like this is a part of my culture that has not gone mainstream. I enjoy having something that white people don't fully grasp. And it's nothing positive or negative about it. It's just like sometimes you just like having things, right? Like it's like slang, right? Or even dances. By the time Hillary Clinton hit the dab, it was dead. I
forgot she even hit the dab.
We enjoyed the dab.
Yeah, I love the dab.
But who killed it?
I haven't dabbed in like quite some time. I'm feeling like a little bit of
It's dead.
I thought about it. I didn't. I let you do it.
But it's just culture, because that's more than anything. That's what we export in entertainment. Any of your favorite entertainers, if you rock with them heavy, they're giving you their life, and their life is embedded in their culture.
So you like the album?
Love it.
Favorite song on it?
Every Hour.
Okay.
First song on it, and it's just
it's like 48 seconds, right?
It's a little bit longer than maybe like 2 minutes.
Oh,
too short in my opinion. But it's just it's a classic worship song, and like even in that, it's like I appreciate that, because now we're having like, why would I be talking to you on this podcast that's Sports Central and Buster Central? Now we're having a religion conversation where I don't think we've ever had it.
Never.
And
We have not had a
I've known
religion
you for
conversation
years, and
yet.
we've never just been like, yeah, I love worship music.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that that's a part of the
just
zeitgeist.
just because of Kanye.
Yeah.
Just like that's the only
Like even
reason.
if you're against everything that he's done in the past, the fact that like if you say this is part of your religion and now he's sparking conversations about Jesus and all these other things, how could you not be
He's sparking
appreciative
a
of it?
lot of conversations.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It helps
It's
spread
interesting.
the message whether you're receptive to it or not.
Yeah,
'Cause that's
I mean,
my opinion is like
at the end of the day, like, you know, whether you believe in whatever or don't, it's a
Yeah.
positive message. It's like a
Yeah.
message of love and whatnot. It's cool. I like
at its
it.
base, that's all it is.
Yeah, and it's dope vibes and beats and lyrics and Chick-fil-A's and it's fire.
I don't like Closed on Sunday. I can't
You don't like
lie.
that one?
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
That's like real Kanye.
Nah, that's trash. I can't. I downloaded the whole album. I had to delete that song.
Yeah, there are some. Overall, I like the general vibe of it. It's great. Yeah.
What's the greatest album of all time?
My opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not justified to give my thoughts because
What?
I've got a lot more to learn. But my
Well, what's
favorite
your favorite?
albums. I mean, Astroworld I liked a lot, and like being around those guys a bunch. Chase was our last guest on the podcast.
Yeah, that was dope.
So I really like those guys. And Dave, Travis's manager, went to my high school. So there are some reasons that I like apart from just the music, although I love the music, why I like the vibe of like the whole thing, because it's all about what you're exposed to. I've loved Drake, you know, listened to Drake since I was in like 7th, 8th grade. Yeah, go through phases. Like I like Logic a lot. Yeah, there are a bunch of dudes that I like a lot.
My favorite album of all time is Rodeo. Travis Scott. And I think like it helped like the process I was going through when that album came out was me I was quitting everything and starting stand up. And that's what I played on the way to shows, and then on the way home, that's what I played like driving.
It's all about like association. What I've learned, like
the
there are
emotions.
I remember like the Jay-Z Justin Timberlake album. Like I have a lot of like associations with that, and like summer and being young. Like it's all about what you have associations to. It's honestly have very little to do with the music. Usually, it's just about when you listen to them.
When I listen to Late Registration, I remember skipping class. I used to listen to it every time I skipped class.
It's so funny.
And it just makes me feel good. I think of fighter jets and skipping class because I used to go play on a fighter jet when I skipped this particular class.
Have you been following the NBA so far this season?
I've been fairly upon it. I saw the headlock.
Who are you? It's not going to make as much sense because this comes out in like a week or two, but who are you following right now? Like who's your favorite team in the league right now?
Oh, it's always the Celtics.
It's always the Celtics?
Yeah,
How do you feel about the Celtics right now with Kemba and whatnot?
I'm not ecstatic. I think losing Horford was probably, everybody was
worse
focused
than Kyrie.
Yeah, everyone was focused on Kyrie.
But they got Kemba, so that just flipped, and they lost the negatives of Kyrie.
Yeah, and we lost Horford. And
Horford's tough.
Because I'm from Atlanta. Like I love the Hawks. They used to be my sleeper team in 2K.
Oh, so you used to watch Al back in the day when they had that Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap,
the year
Kyle
that they
Korver.
won the Eastern Conference, or not won the Eastern Conference, they had the best record
in the Eastern
Conference
Finals. Yeah, and then they got swept by by Miami. Was it, or was it Cleveland?
I honestly don't remember. I remember it was LeBron.
It was probably right.
That's what I remember.
It's always LeBron. LeBron before this past year had been in the NBA Finals 9 straight times. So
and I think the Hawks, or not even the Hawks, I think Atlanta sold its soul for music. Like, we can't succeed in anything but good music. Like, we have
great music, though.
The rappers
great
are
music,
heat,
though.
But then we're up on the Patriots. Like,
right.
We have an opportunity to knock the Cardinals out. Like, there's always something about Atlanta that's just sports are doomed, and we sold our soul, man.
So who do you think wins the title this year in the NBA? In all seriousness.
I don't even
Jokes aside.
I can tell you who I expect to see in the finals, but who do I think will win is
who do you expect
ridiculous.
to see in the finals?
I expect to see the Clippers.
Yep.
And on the Eastern Conference side, I might still be rocking with the Raptors, man.
No.
Yeah.
No, you didn't just say that.
On some dark horse.
Wow.
Like they got a lot to prove.
I'm gonna say
without
Giannis.
Kawhi.
Giannis wants it really bad.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, I
in
could see
5
the Bucks.
seconds.
Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez.
That makes more sense than the Raptors.
Yeah, a lot more sense.
But I could see the Raptors.
Philadelphia too. I mean, Philly is hungry.
Philly, absolutely. But also, I don't know. Something about Philadelphia doesn't make me believe in them, and I don't know what.
Really?
I don't know what it is because they're on paper it should be fire, and that's been that way for like the last 2-3 years.
Who do you have winning MVP this year?
LeBron.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You've LeBron in his 17th season winning MVP.
What's wrong with
I mean,
why?
he has a teammate who has better statistics than his, let alone other players.
But
in the
I
league.
think that's because LeBron. Do you remember when LeBron first went to Miami and he had that thing where he said, this is D Wade's team. We got to figure it out that way. And they weren't as successful as they could have been until LeBron was like, actually, I run the show. And D Wade, you're my boy, but take a back seat. I don't think anybody's maybe right now you could argue that, but last year, would you say Anthony Davis was better than LeBron?
Anthony Davis was injured for the majority of the season.
Yeah,
and he was also in New Orleans.
But would you say he was better than LeBron? The year before that?
Never.
That's what I'm saying. And I still think LeBron, until proven otherwise, is better than Anthony Davis.
That's a fair point. So you think LeBron's inevitably going to make the switch
he has
again in year 17 of his career? Because it's not like it's year 10, which it was in Miami.
But he's a freak of nature, bro. Like, you can't compare him to anybody else because year 17, you should be playing limited minutes.
He's playing 35 a game.
This is what I'm saying. Like, LeBron is still that dude. Yeah. His body, I think his body was so far ahead of everybody that him losing a step is him being just better than you instead of outrageously better than you.
So the company that sponsors this podcast is called Playline. Their whole thing is like guessing players' stats. So what do you think LeBron puts up this year?
This year, I'll say he's going to need at least 10 rebounds, probably 8 assists, and somewhere in the 25 to 27 point range.
Interesting. And do you think that's enough to win MVP?
Why not? Who do you? Honestly,
James Harden's still going to put up.
I was about to say they might. One of those two, James Harden and Westbrook, might be the only ones who's genuinely going to challenge him in terms of team success and individual success. And that's because I think you saw it. He said it's coming out later, but yesterday they barely won, and they both put up astronomical performance.
So, like I was telling you about Playline, our very first sponsor for the podcast, they have a really cool $1 million challenge where all you have to do is enter a couple player statistics, literally enter a couple player statistics and have a chance to win $1 million if you get them all right. If you get them all right, you win $1 million. But beyond that, we have a challenge where you don't have to get them all right. You just have to get them closer than I do. So every single week, I enter my predictions for how I think the 3 players each week, like LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, for example, are going to perform, points, rebounds, assists. And then if you get closer than I did, you're entered to win in the Beat Buster giveaway every single week. So this week, we're going to be giving away a signed James Harden jersey. So all you have to do is enter. So you go to playline.com and then use the promo code BUSTER when you put in $5 because you get $25 free, and then you can enter to win. And if you win, you win. Great. You got to buy us tickets to go courtside to a game or something. That'd be great. But even if you don't, if you do better than I did, you're entered to win our weekly giveaway. We're going to have tons of prizes every single week. So it's kind of a win-win if you win. But you'll probably win. Let's see. Enter. Playline.com. Use the promo code BUSTER and enter the Beat Buster Challenge. I'd appreciate it. It's fun. Just get some player stats, basketball talk, Ladies and gentlemen, check it out. Do it. 150-plus point game on both
but that's
ends.
the other part. There was no defense, but they needed like a crazy output from each one of them just to win by 1 point. And I could see that being the trend for them.
That's scary for the NBA, though, that you can have a 150-point game in regulation.
I think it is. I actually want to see 200 points. I've wanted to see that since I started playing like NBA Live.
It's happened before.
It's
happened.
Who scored 200 points in a game?
In like the 70s, in like a quintuple overtime game.
I want to, and the thing about it, they did go to like triple overtime easily.
They would have.
They would have had 200, and they could have.
No doubt. If let's say, let's bring out the calculator. Here's where a school didn't come in handy. Let's say that they scored 150 points in 48 minutes.
Yeah.
So we need.
It's about 40 points.
What math? We need to do 150
quarter.
divided by 48. That's 3 points a minute, roughly. So now we add 15 times 3. That's 45. 155 plus 45. It's 200 points.
Boom.
Dead on.
Who am I pointing at?
Also, the funny thing that whenever I think about school, it's always like, yeah, I took like algebra for 2 years and did terrible at it. Like I took Spanish. Never once in my life has somebody come up to me on the street and been like, you cannot come into this event and do your job unless you solve this algebraic equation or tell me back this sentence in Spanish.
See, I think our lives are way different in terms of like a lot of what I learned in school has greatly shaped the way I talk about things.
Really?
Yeah. Like the fact that, so I'm working on a joke right now that's about the prison industrial complex. I learned about that in college. Probably would have learned about it way later. But because I have brothers who are felons, it's something that I actually like, oh, this is a situation that's personal to me. It's important to me. It's important to my community and also at large. Just the fact that it's almost like what the NCAA was until like a couple days ago. Just straight slave labor and profits on the other end of it. But
which is good that they're switching now, finally.
Yeah, because I've been saying that for years. Yeah, I used to get emails for calling them slaves.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, on the show?
I'll take that out. Like, you can't say that.
You cannot refer to Zion Williamson.
But it's that, like, even I have a sketch that's probably going to come out, hopefully, fairly soon, about the owner system, where, like, you don't call the guy who owns this building. He wouldn't be like, hey, I'm your owner. You know what I mean? If you work at Starbucks, the guy who runs that franchise isn't your owner. He's the owner of the franchise, but he's not the team owner. Like, it's a team of employees, and you're saying you own people when you say you own a team. To say you own a franchise, way different than saying you own a person.
That's what they switched that in the NBA.
Yeah, now they call them it's not managers. It's something.
It's like it's not presidents either.
No, it's something. They just made up BS. But even then, that's an NBA thing. But we're still gonna do that in baseball. You have managers who answer to the owners. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
is that stuff, and even like logic, like because like I was preparing for the LSAT and all that, knowing like logic is a big part of that, and that's what we use, like transitive property that you learn in geometry, saying like, because A is A and B is B, then C must be C.
For sure. And I think, like for me, it was all just about like here are my interests. Yeah. Let me not surround myself with things that I'm not interested in. Just go all in on like getting myself around the best people at what I want to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. But
it's a great way to learn, like to learn anything. Get around somebody who inspires you, man.
Yeah, 100%. Not even just inspires you, is way better at it than you.
Yeah, they're better at it. They're smarter at it. Like, you don't get good at basketball playing against guys at your level.
Right.
You don't. The reason why, I think the reason why whenever I came into school, I was faster than most of the kids my age, and I'm shorter than you, but I can jump very high, is because I played against all older kids.
Right.
That's how I grew up. Like, the reason you can't block my layup is because you're my height, and I'm used to shooting it over somebody who's 6'6". And you just could never, like, I remember, like, even as a kid, you look at me, I was 5'2" as a freshman, but you can't, no one's fucking with me.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. And that the reason, like, I was almost like I guess like Isaiah Thomas, like you look at him, you're like, you shouldn't be here.
Like, it's true. It's kind of like the best advice for anybody is like, whatever you're doing, just make sure that the people you spend the most time with are better at it than you.
Play on all Madden.
Right. That is Justin, like that one. Big Madden player. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's proper
also,
advice.
I just want to say there's a secret league out here involving my man Justice Winslow and his brother Josh. They have a Madden league where you have like for real games that you got to play, and it's harder than Madden. It's harder than Madden because they adjust the sliders to a point where they're like, you couldn't actually do this in real life, so we're going to take that away from you.
Wow.
It's harder. It's almost like, do you remember like when the NCAA had sports games And those are way more technical than
what
all
was
the
the
pro
last year?
games.
Like 2012, 2011?
Somewhere around there. Like they cut those off a while ago. Probably around the time like NBA Live started falling off.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and it's officially gone now.
Yeah.
As of yesterday.
It should have never came back, honestly.
Yikes. Although they spent a ton of money on influencers, so blessings to them. Apart from that.
Dude, Buster said, I haven't paid rent in 6 months off of that. Blessings, friend. Go in peace.
Blessings. I will support when they come back. But, 2K is the best. It's not even close.
It is now, but honestly, I used to prefer it. The reason I stopped playing live, the reason I stopped playing it was because they went like a year where they lapsed. Like, Live stopped making a game, and 2K just kept pushing. And in that gap, I was like, I have no choice. I got to play 2K. And then I was like, why would I go back to you? You betrayed me, nigga. I loved you, and you left me.
You sound like 2K. Kanye West. I saw a really funny tweet the other day. It was Taylor Swift is being honored as the all-decade artist at the American Music Awards in this past decade, so the last 2010 to 2020, and all of the top responses. I don't know what type of Twitter they were from, but they were hilarious.
Sounds black.
And and it was just all people like Kanye West licking his lips right now. He's about to jump on stage.
Because like Taylor Swift, she's not even the best white woman, let alone better than Beyonce.
I'm not going to comment on that. All I know is that I think she made the most money out of any artist.
Is that the qualification for being the artist of the decade?
When it's ratings concerned, yeah. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the award show is.
Right?
But also that award is insulting to everyone who's better than her that didn't win it.
Fair.
But even then, I would say Kanye West, I mean, he can sell.
I think it's female artist, though.
Oh, best female artist. In my mind, of the decade, it's Rihanna or Beyonce.
Yeah. I mean, they're all great artists.
Yeah, and there's nothing, that's not like shade to Taylor Swift, but it's, come on,
He's not stealing Taylor Swift's mic right now.
Nah, it's too much mayonnaise. I gotta be at the BET Awards, man. I'm never going to the American Music Awards.
Yeah, I don't even watch any of these awards. I listen to the music, and that's it. That's all that you're meant to do. And if you like somebody, go support them personally. Go see their show. Go buy their tickets from them. Yeah. And buy their merch. That's that.
I think I'm thinking differently though, because I know certain things mean a lot. So like Lil Duval, a guy, he's the first comedian I ever saw live.
He's hilarious. I follow him on Instagram.
Amazing dude. That's how long I've been following him. Since I saw him, his live show, just straight stand-up, was so good. I said I had to follow him. And this is back when he had a toilet chain. Like, he had a diamond-encrusted toilet, and then you could lift up the seat, and there was more diamonds inside the toilet.
Savage.
Like, Lil Duval was wild, man, back in the day. And just somebody who like, your talent is so amazing. I hope nothing but the best comes to you. And then when it does, like when I get to see him host an award show that means something to my culture, like I'm all for it.
Right.
Because he's giving you things like basic bitch, and he's giving you things like...
He came up with that?
He coined the phrase.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And nobody knows that because he's the kind of guy who will create something and just put it out into the ecosystem and say like, I mean, yeah, I did it, but it doesn't... Like, what that mouth do? You've heard that before.
Yeah.
It's his line. And people just take it and run with it because he's the kind of guy who's just like, he's so
cool with that.
Yeah. It's just a part of him. The things that he does, people want to be a part of. And the things that he says, they're so unique that you're like, holy smokes, like I gotta.
That makes me like him a lot more. I didn't even know he was a stand-up, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I've been following him on Instagram for the longest.
And he's one of the first.
Every single post, I'm actually laughing. Which I don't to any meme accounts nowadays.
He's genuinely funny, though. Because even if he posts someone else's meme, his caption is going to make that meme more fire.
10 times better.
Yeah, he's a comedic genius. He's like, I think he's emotional and like just standard intelligent. He's a street smart dude, and you can like learn a lot from the things he's saying. But even more than that, like he's one of the first people to ever start making social media sketches. one of the first. He was selling sketches on DVDs.
He was selling sketches on DVDs. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's like, so baller.
The hustle is real, and to see like that flourish into something else.
No, sir, I don't want your mixtape. Yeah. My mixtape? What are you talking about, a mixtape?
This is a Vine. Got 12 Vines on VHS. You don't watch these.
Yeah. In 2020, selling their Vines on a CD. That's a funny idea for a sketch. You should make a sketch out of him selling Vines on CDs.
Old school, man. Most people don't even know what CDs are. I saw
really?
ESPN
no, I don't believe that.
Name the 90s.
Yeah, but that's with like kids.
But they're like 18.
Really? They don't know what CDs are?
Don't know. Like he pulled out the disc player. You know, the one you open it up, you carry it with you. I
had that when I was young.
Yeah. You're old now, bro.
I'm old, bro. I just turned 19. I'm washed.
Old as shit now.
Washed, bro. Just call it a day.
Yeah, but you hang out with too many adults, man. That's your problem. Like, you got to know what these things are.
Yeah, well, I do know what CDs are. Yeah. I write up the some of my notes for the podcast on a typewriter.
I don't believe you. But also, that would be like a super hipster thing to do. So,
yeah, I'm not hipster like that.
I can see somebody your age like, Buster? Like,
I write my notes on a typewriter too.
There's those people who have a bunch of records in their house and just like, yeah, I really like listening to Michael Jackson's Thriller.
You know it's on Spotify, bro.
Yeah.
It might not be now, Michael Jackson.
I have one record, actually.
Really?
Guess what it is?
Rodeo?
Travis Scott's Rodeo is the only one I have.
There you go. Did you buy it from him or from like a record store?
I bought it on I think I've spotted it like Urban Outfitters.
You know what's so crazy? That's how they get number one, through pre-selling records and digital copies. Because they'll sell a week before it comes out digitally, or they'll sell it right when it drops. And for every digital copy you sell, it's equivalent to 1,500 streams. So you can have a number one hit before your song comes out.
Bro, Travis changed the merch game with his last release. Well, not his last release, his last album release. I bought Astroworld merch, and it came everything you buy, whether you buy one or two individual, because he's so smart in not dropping everything all at once, right? Because if you buy something one day and buy something the next day, it's all packaged together. You get one copy of the album. So with him spacing out his merch, you got multiple copies just for buying shit you would have bought all at once. And then on top of that, it's like no comedian's doing that yet. Like, comedians don't take their
white space for that, for good merch for a comedian. Yeah, I've never seen a comedian's merch.
I mean, it's the same things you'd sell if you rapped, T-shirts.
But it's not dope. Like,
that's
Astroworld merch is dope.
That's it, bro. Comedians haven't found a way.
I'm surprised somebody like Kevin hasn't, like, at all. He did shoes.
Dude, he had
but that's very
dope,
different.
I want to say he had a dope hoodie for his last thing, but I never went to. I just saw like every now and then.
I've never seen him live before.
I've never seen him live.
I'm trying to think if I've ever seen anybody that I like in stand-up comedy live. Well, oftentimes I'm not old enough to even get in the places.
Oh yeah, you're just now there,
yeah. So that's probably part of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to even think.
I mean, the best people, if you had the opportunity to watch any comedians right now, I would say you got to see Dimitri Martin, John Mulaney.
My younger brother has seen John like 3 times live. He's hilarious.
Dude, a beast. A beast. He's amazing.
It's all very clean too. But like clean, like edge of clean. Like it's the perfect.
He has a joke about Donald Trump where he never once says his name. And it's the best Trump joke I've ever heard. And I've heard literally, without exaggerating, hours of different Trump jokes. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you for a fact, the most genius thing where he talks about a horse in a hospital. And that's how he relates Trump to America. And whether you agree with it or not, it's just like that. It's brilliant.
He's super smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think the guys that I want to see the most. I'd obviously love to see Chappelle one day.
Oh, man, yeah. I've seen him twice. Each time better than the last.
The one show I want to see is Joe Rogan and Chappelle together. That would be.
Well, you can afford it.
That would be crazy.
You can afford it. Those tickets are gonna be crazy.
They do. They've done it before.
Yeah, they set a record for I think it was like the most in Oklahoma. I want to say most people who ever attended a live stand-up performance
Ever.
Yeah, because they did it together. This was
in
over
like a
the summer.
Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Killed it, and it's unsurprising.
So crazy.
And I think the craziest part of it is I could never see the Fear Factor guy turning into what Joe Rogan is now.
He's one of the people that inspired this podcast, 100%.
And that's, bro, when I was growing up, the first time Joe Rogan entered into America's consciousness was as a guy who was getting you to eat moose penis. And now
I didn't even know that guy either. I discovered him completely through highlights on YouTube.
Which is, bro, have you seen
Which is how 99% of people, I've seen it in retrospect.
Have you seen the Chappelle skit about it?
Yeah, I have.
Bro,
it's really funny where
yeah.
he's like lying down.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's like, and stuff like that where you see like, all right, you were bubbling. And at that time, Joe, I guess, started to slow down. And Chappelle, of course, he's on top of the world. And now they both basically like met in the middle on some Benjamin Button stuff. And but their middle is the upper echelon of entertainment. And now because we've been friends for so long and we've established this working relationship and personal relationship that's so cohesive, how could we not do this show on the road together?
So who are your top 5 comedians if you're going to go to a show, no budget?
No budget. I mean, first of all, I just want to say the perks of being a stand-up comedian is most shows are free. But anybody that I can see right now, I'm going to go pay to see Dave Chappelle. I'm going to see my guy Nico White, who is one of the best. Honestly, if he's not a future legend, I'd be surprised. I'm going to see Chris Rock. I'm going to see... Damn, this is hard, man. All right, who did I say? I said Dave Chappelle, Nico, Chris.
John Mulaney.
I don't know. I mean, Gerard Carmichael maybe. And he's just a guy who I relate to Carmichael so much. He's the only comedian who I lose material to.
Really?
I see him perform and I've thrown away things because I'm like, we had the exact same thought. You just said it better and you said it on a national stage. So now if I do it, I'm doing Carmichael's joke.
Right.
I know I have a joke about Family Feud right now that I feel like if I don't get it off my chest in 6 months, maybe to a year, he's going to drop his special and I can never tell it again. So, but that's good. Like to see like, I got to push myself that much harder to where it's like somebody who I think our sensibilities align, but we got to be distinctly original no matter what.
Yeah, you have to be in because that's all you have.
Yeah, because the premise is simple. I think it's the best premises are stuff that's in your face that no one else has seen.
Right.
So the premise of our Family Feud jokes are that Family Feud makes you more racist because you never root for the other family when your race is on Family Feud.
That's funny.
Simple.
That's funny.
Everyone can agree with it. Easily like digestible. You don't gotta explain too much.
Nothing. You gave it right there in like 10 words.
Yeah. And I think my version's better because it goes deeper. His goes deeper. But if he puts his out first, I'm doing his joke. So comedy's crazy, man.
Comedy's crazy.
You can't sample somebody.
Also, one of the crazy things that I've heard a bunch of is like writers for TV shows that'll go listen to like small stand-ups and then just take their jokes and turn them into skits.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
crazy.
They're foul. They're scum of the earth.
That's
Honestly,
crazy.
It's the most offensive thing. Even when comedians do it too, like even then, it's like cannibalism, and you should be exiled from society because it's the dirtiest. You don't know how long. Like that Family Feud joke I just told you, I've been working on that for 3 of my 4 stand-up years. Now, it's gonna hurt me to not put that out. I gotta just film it and put it on like Instagram or something so I can say I've made it first. But if anybody like took that joke from me, other than him, like if you were a New York comedian, I've done shows with you, and now I saw you doing the version of my joke that he did, who's from LA, it's never seen me perform, I would be incensed, bro. We gotta fight. Of course. We gotta fight right then and there, because you just took 3 years of my work,
right?
And you portrayed it as your own, and you,
like, I've heard a lot of people doing that in LA, especially.
I hope not.
It's crazy.
But
How do you think about Joe Rogan as a comedian? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I've never seen too much of his stuff. I love the podcast because the conversations are so crazy and in depth, and also intriguing that
it's so different too. Like everyone is different.
You can put out a 3-hour version of anything, and everybody's down for it weekly.
Not weekly, almost daily.
Yeah, like it doesn't, like, logically, if you were to tell somebody, like, set your social media up like this, you wouldn't say make your videos 3 hours of conversation.
It's not optimized.
It's an absurd way.
Honestly, I've never thought of this before. I think he might have the highest watch time in the history of YouTube.
It's got to be.
Who else has more? Right. PewDiePie does not put out 3 hours. He puts out 10-minute videos every day and gets 4 or 5x. But
yeah,
3 hour and then highlights on top of that. I've double watched episodes. I probably watched the Elon one 2 times. You know, it's like.
Bro, I'm interested in the Snowden episode. I haven't watched it, but
yeah, I got a notification for that. I mean, what's cool about his too, and you know why, like, you know, I'm super pumped that, you know, I'm starting stuff like this at a younger age, is like, imagine if he did it, like, he started at age 47.
The podcast.
Yeah. You know,
but
imagine
he didn't have the opportunity because remember, when he's your age, it's just radio, or you got to get on ABC or something if you want to be a successful
But comedian. I'm saying imagine.
That's what, yeah.
Having the 40 years of backlog footage.
Exactly, bro. Like, it's such a, one of the things I love to do is the people who I look up to and I admire, I like to watch old interviews of them. See where your mindset was at 20. What kind of things were you talking about? And how is that propelling you to the point where I eventually learned to love you? Right.
Somebody recommended something to me last night, which I'll say on the podcast. This is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. There's a documentary about him on Netflix.
In the head.
And I don't know about that. I don't know anything about him. All I know is that, like, I thought he was super cocky. And then I talked last night with this football trainer who trains a lot of the top guys overseas in Europe and France.
Good for you for saying
football. And thank you. And he was telling me, like, no, he's really not cocky. He believes in everything he says truthfully, and he does a lot of great work. Go watch this documentary, because at age 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, he's talking the same exact way that he is now when he had nothing.
Yeah. It's like, you know what I think Kawhi's inner monologue is? I gotta believe it's the exact same thing that I've had, like, my entire time. Before I go on stage, I literally, like, I say a quick prayer. I'm like, keep me funny, God. And then I'm like,
keep me funny.
That's it. Keep me funny. And
1, 2, 3, funny.
Right? Me, Jesus, and God. Break. But then it's like, after that, I start pumping myself up. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm the greatest comedian they've never seen. Like, nobody knows what they're about to walk into. And I got to believe that Kawhi has that in him, because you have to be on that level of narcissism and self-belief to propel yourself to greatness, I think.
Kawhi has a lot of crazy stuff going for him, too.
Oh, you mean like the size of his hands and all this, like, natural-born things he couldn't avoid?
Well, that definitely doesn't hurt. His mindset's on point, though. I agree.
It has
it's
to
so
be.
on
Like,
point.
I don't think anybody excels to that level, and you don't say, like, I'm better than you. I deserve to take this shot. That's the reason I'm not going to pass the ball. Or I deserve to bring the ball up the court because I could dribble better than you.
At a point, though, like, if you're already in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because that's still crazy. Like, I truly believe there are a lot of guys in the NBA that don't want to take the last shot.
But how do you get picked, like, second round in the NBA draft and then become Manu Ginobili? How do you become Isaiah Thomas? Last pick.
Those guys have it.
Those
guys have it.
You have to have it.
But there are a lot of guys that don't, I think. Because their goal is to make it to the NBA, and then once they make it, there's a weird disconnect.
That's always it, man. But that's another thing where we were talking about dreaming outside of. You didn't dream outside of what could happen if I made it to the NBA. You just dreamt, like, I could be this. And then you became that, and where do you go?
It's a problem a lot of people struggle with. It's like they have a goal, and then they come close to achieving it or achieve a piece of it or whatever.
Yeah.
That's it.
As far as I know, I'm never going to achieve any of my goals.
Yeah, I don't have goals in the same way. No, it's like in the same way, you know? Like, it's just progression. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's all progression, but my ultimate goal is, I could see myself retiring after like a second stand-up special in the way Eddie Murphy did, because my goal is to become one of the GOATs, right? Mm-hmm. He became one. It only took him 2 stand-up specials. He's one of the GOATs. And he was just like, well, I achieved my goal.
Right.
I don't know if I could get there in 2. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's damn near impossible. That guy's an anomaly. And because of that, it's like I'm always going to be working towards.
Yeah.
Because even now, like, I know for a fact I'm better than some comedians. But I have to compare myself to the guys I want to be. And I'm like, I'm trash. Right. I can't believe people pay me for this. I am horrible. And I just got to get better.
Right.
And if
that's all it is. It's
if
like
you don't
10,000
have that,
hours.
like, how do you get successful in anything?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like my version of goals are like project specific, right? Uh-huh. So for like this podcast, the number one guy I want on is Obama, and I just want to talk basketball with Obama for an hour. Yeah. That's it. That's the goal. So it's like, all right, cool. But
you came close today, but
right. I came very close today. I'm sure he's going to say a lot of the same things that you're saying. Right.
He's going to tell you his Tracy Morgan story. And then he called me a test tube baby.
And let me tell you this real quick. I was a huge Chicago Bulls fan. Tracy Morgan told me that I should go F myself. Is that how the kids say it these days? I should just when I don't get Obama on, I should just be Obama on the other end of the mic.
If you ever want an audio guy to just come in and sound like Obama for you, talk to me. I know this.
Yo, you know a guy.
There's this white kid named Matt Friend.
I will pass respectfully, but shout out to Matt.
The absolute best Obama voice you will ever hear. He's only like 19. The best Obama voice you could ever do.
Respect.
That's impressive. Also, Matt, hey, I did shout you out. So you can't do shit for me yet, but one day, hopefully.
That's big time.
Repay the favor.
Ladies and gentlemen, my man, thank you for coming on. Kyle Pennant, everybody. Where can people find you?
I'm at Kyle Pennant on everything. You could watch me on Snapchat every week. You can catch up on old episodes. They never delete, man. I'm on the Discover page.
They there. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Leave a rating, subscribe, text me at 917-970-2200. I'll see you guys later. Peace. So, like I was telling you about Playline, our very first sponsor for the podcast, they have a really cool $1 million challenge where all you have to do is enter a couple player statistics, literally enter a couple player statistics and have a chance to win $1 million if you get them all right. If you get them all right, you win $1 million. But beyond that, we have a challenge where you don't have to get them all right. You just have to get them closer than I do. So every single week, I enter my predictions for how I think the 3 players each week, like LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, for example, are going to perform points, rebounds, assists. And then if you get closer than I did, you're entered to win in the Beat Buster giveaway every single week. So this week, we're going to be giving away a signed James Harden jersey. So all you have to do is enter. So you go to playline.com and then use the promo code BUSTER when you put in $5 because you get $25 free, and then you can enter to win. And if you win, you win. Great. You got to buy us tickets to go courtside to a game or something. That'd be great. But even if you don't, if you do better than I did, you're entered to win our weekly giveaway. We're going to have tons of prizes every single week. So it's kind of a win-win if you win. But you'll probably win. Let's see. Enter. Playline.com. Use the promo code BUSTER and enter the Beat Buster Challenge. I'd appreciate it. It's fun. Just get some player stats, basketball talk, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out.